Even though women are more likely to get these degrees, women are still underrepresented in leadership positions across the country and across the world.
Hi there, it's WAMC News Director Ian Pickus. And on this episode of the WAMC News Podcast, we sit down with the president of Vassar College in Poughkeepsie. Well, Vassar College President Elizabeth Bradley is back from a trip to Rwanda, where she gave the keynote address at the White Coat ceremony of the University of Global Health Equity. The private nonprofit medical school graduated its first cohort since entering a partnership with Vassar, a private liberal arts college, in 2018. Bradley says faculty and administrators have made multiple trips over the years to swap knowledge about how each institution is run and share a liberal arts perspective with the medical school. And just a note, WAMC's Hudson Valley Bureau is located on the Vassar campus. WAMC's Hudson Valley Bureau Chief Jesse King sat down with Bradley to learn more.
There's a lot to learn in medicine, and you take anatomy and chemistry and physics and biology and all the sciences you can imagine for years and years and years. But when you actually start to do patient care, you have to think about the social determinants of health and the environmental determinants of health. Taking a liberal arts curriculum allows medical students to have a broader appreciation for that side of what will ultimately be their jobs as physicians. I've been to Rwanda several times, and this time I went to give the White Coat ceremony keynote address, but I also have gone to teach several times, and the learning is just tremendous. You see things in a whole new light. For instance, Rwanda has had a very difficult history. They've had a genocide, they've had tremendous political uprising, and you get to witness, okay, how are they coming back from something like that? That kind of political polarization, which we face some of too, to watch how they react now, 30 years later, I think is very educational for all of us.
How did you see them reacting to it now?
Today, in Rwanda, they really have pluralism. They really work together. They want to believe that they're one society, they're cohesive, they're very supportive of the nation overall. And differences that they may have related to their social backgrounds, they engage that topic and work in very peaceful ways to include everybody. And I think we can learn something from that.
And you mentioned that, there's a professor from Rwanda here at Vassar now, and did I read correctly that there was also a trip here to sort of take a tour of Vassar too?
Yes, we've had two visits from the University of Global Health Equity. The first was the administrators who came here to understand, how do you run a college? What do you do for student affairs? How do you address mental health? And they stayed for 2 weeks to really meet everybody they could at Vassar to get some sense of what is the best practice in a residential college setting, which is what they have and are just starting in Rwanda. Now, for this 2 weeks, we have a faculty member who is their head of humanities and social sciences in Rwanda here at Vassar. And in fact, just gave a president's tea yesterday and when he finished the tea at our house, at the president's house, he said, wow, that's what a liberal arts school does. Because our students were all there asking all kinds of questions, from the ethical basis of anthropology to what is it like to teach medical students in Rwanda. And I think he was very impressed at how open, free, creative, kind of inclusive the conversation was.
And do you see any other opportunities for other partnerships like this for Vassar and other colleges around the world?
Actually, our partnership with the University of Global Health Equity is part of a larger effort in something we're calling the Global Collaborative for the Liberal Arts. We have 4 institutions: Vassar, IIT Bombay from India, and the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and the University of Global Health Equity in Rwanda, all working on a common problem, which is how do we engage our students in the most creative, inclusive, educational curriculum so that they will be creative problem solvers with sort of a pro-social understanding the larger picture of where our major global challenges are. So we've convened a couple of times together as a group of 4 institutions, and most of it is about how do you bring a multidisciplinary approach to education? How do you treat students as peers, as scholars themselves? How do you give them freedom and creativity and confidence to pitch new ideas and care deeply about the larger society? I have to say it's been quite transformational. We've all learned. Everybody gives, everybody learns. And one of the examples of this semester is we have a professor, Professor Thomas Parker, who's developed a course called Blue Humanities, which is an environmental course about what water means to us as humans. And he is in fact teaching it here on campus, and then he's going to Rwanda, and our students are going also, and will learn new things about how Rwanda is conserving water, how they understand water. And he already said to me in his first visit there that he was shocked at how many things he didn't know about the different kind of traditional ways to conserve water and keep water clean, even when you don't have all the resources that we might have in the US. So we're all learning a lot. The Global Collaborative is part of our Institute for the Liberal Arts, which, if you live in this area, you've seen the building that's coming up between Raymond and College Avenue. And that will be open in October. And this institute will be a convening space. It will also be open to the public. It has a restaurant in it and an inn nearby where people can come and stay overnight and take some variety of classes, really curricular lectures, convening type programming at the Institute. Can't wait for this to happen because it allows Vassar to be in community with people who live in the Dutchess County and beyond about some of the key issues that we're facing now. Where is higher education going? How does higher education play a pivotal role in economic development? How are we taking on tough, polarizing issues like climate, like how we keep peace? What are we doing about income inequality in our country? And Vassar would like to be a place where we can really have those conversations in ways that value all voices, that allow a diversity of political opinions, social opinions, economic, cultural opinions to coexist and stay at the table talking, which we think is what the heart of higher education is.
There's a little bit of turmoil with higher education up in Albany right now with the closure of the College of St. Rose. And since the pandemic, has Vassar's had to take a look at how it's going to go for the next few years, or how are things here?
Vassar is a place that is constantly looking at itself and being self-reflective of, are we giving the very best education? Are we doing it in the most efficient way? And the pandemic definitely reinforced that habit we have of doing it. Now, the truth is, coming out of the pandemic, at Vassar, we were able to keep classes in session throughout the pandemic. And we learned probably more than ever that face-to-face residential experience is so important for young adults to really learn how to work with each other across divides, social divides, economic divides, political divides. So if anything, it reinforced to us really what our model is. Now, it's not for everybody, but this model of higher education, I think, really has a place in our future. So we've recommitted to it, and in fact, our applications are up, and we feel strongly that it still is a very viable model for what we do.
With what you said earlier about sort of engaging with the community more, do you think that's sort of also the path to go for other colleges as well?
Yes, engaging with the community is so critical. I mean, these institutions of higher education, often who have an endowment, so they're here as anchor institutions, they benefit so much from really being in community with the region around them. And at Vassar, we have a few programs like this. We have a whole set of courses that are given in the community with community-based partners. So all kinds, from the town supervisor to Habitat for Humanity to Planned Parenthood, have Vassar students embedded and getting course credit. And it makes a huge difference, I think, for the community-based organizations, but also for Vassar. And one other program that Vassar has expanded and is trying to have replicated in New York is our Exploring Transfer program, which is a program that allows community college students to come and spend 5 weeks on campus taking classes co-taught by a community college faculty member and our faculty member. They take those classes, and they're in the liberal arts. They're not classes that are to do some remediation. They're actually to open their minds and their confidence to what the liberal arts is all about. And we recently just did a study to figure out, well, what happens to these students after they come here? We do about 30 to 35 a year. And we found that 85% of these community college students are either in four-year college now or have graduated from four-year college, which is an enormous number. We know typically 15 or 20% of students who start community college actually go to a four-year college, even though they want to go to one. So we found this program helps us so much have a more diverse student body, but also I think helps these students conceptualize, wow, I could do that. I spent 5 weeks at Vassar and took a Vassar course with a Vassar professor and my own community college professor. I can do this. So it's been really fun to work on that program.
I remember reading a statistic lately that women are more likely to go for higher education than men right now. Yes. Do you have any thoughts or takes on that? I know that this started out as an all-women's college.
Yes, it did. Right now, if we look at college students, four-year college students, 55% of them are women, 45% of them are men. Even at the doctoral level, women are outnumbering men. In medical schools, women are outnumbering men, which is amazing. And it's such a great thing because women traditionally have been excluded from these avenues of higher education. So nice over the last 50 years, that really has changed. Two things come to my mind. One, it's very important we think about young men and what's happening because we want young men to also have these kinds of benefits of college. So that is a very important piece, I think, for us not to forget. We may need more bolstering of young men's education, et cetera, to figure out how to, keep the balance. But I would say the other thing that is very critical for us to look at is even though women are more likely to get these degrees, women are still underrepresented in leadership positions across the country and across the world. 30% of CEOs of colleges or presidents of colleges are women, only 30%, even though 55% of the graduates are women. If we look at boards in private companies or CEOs of private companies, it's like 10 or 15% are women. So something is happening where we're getting the education but not staying in the leadership roles that obviously so many women would be high capacity to do.
Okay, that does it for this episode of the WAMC News Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I'm Ian Pickus.